Thank you for turning up to watch the final of the House Games competition. We had 32 teams who entered the competition from across years 9 and year 10, and over the last 3 weeks we've had 5 consecutive knockout rounds that finish here. The team proposing our motion today will be from Rayner. We have Dom Goodman and John Dunster. The motion we are debating today is that this House believes that teaching fictional texts in schools is unnecessary. This House believes that fictional texts in schools is unnecessary. Without any further chat, I'd like to have a round of applause, please, Mr. Dom Goodman.
I'd like to move on to my first point. Why do children go to school? They go to learn facts and figures, not to read things about people's imagination. They need to have an education and learn maths and about our world and how to write. We need to prepare them for life at school and give them the tools they need in life. How are fiction books going to help them in life?
What information?
Books are about things that aren't really useful to us, surely. They're people's imagination. We need to learn the truth and the reality. In English, we need to learn about grammar and handwriting, not about unreal stories. School is about preparing people for later life as smoothly as possible, and to give them a unified and adaptable skill set. Fictional text is a single skill that is alienated from the rest. It is a skill that would never be used in later life. Young people should be learning life experiences from books, and this is impossible to do when trying to relate to a fictional book. Fiction has created a decrease in reading in general because of cinema. There are many films of fictional books. Many children often say, "I'll just watch the film," when referring to fictional works. The key thing of fiction is imagination. However, this privilege has been removed by cinema, therefore there is little to be gained from it. This distracts people from what is important about their learning. Also, lots of fiction is very outdated. For example, Shakespeare. There is a lot of unnecessary violence, which is a bad influence on the young adolescent minds like us. So, I'd like to move on to my second point. But what do children actually gain from literature text? Maybe you would say they'll gain new experiences and meet new people along the way. But literature texts, in our opinion, are unnecessary at school and aren't to help with preparing children for life. They're just stories that should be read for hobbies and not for teaching. Reading non-fiction also helps to develop valuable essay skills that we will need. And fiction does not help prepare these children for life.
What information?
Exactly.
Are you suggesting that our young children should be reading information, facts for their pleasure and enjoyment?
No, as I've said, we should also read for our hobbies, for enjoyment as well. I'd like to finish by concluding and highlighting my 2 key points. Children go to school to learn how does fiction text help them do this? And children don't gain much from reading literature text. They just gain enjoyment, which shows reading should be a hobby, and in school we should learn life skills and about our world. Thank you, and I urge you to vote for the proposition.
And I'd like to invite is only the case for Holman.
The proposition has suggested that fiction books are absolutely useless in terms of skills, they teach you nothing. But in reality, it's the complete opposite. Fiction books teach you a vast range of skills, analytical skills, skills such as taking forward different perspectives which can be completely invaluable in later life. Now, I'd like to move on to our first point. Fiction is a fundamental part of our society today. It allows writers to express real ideas from fake imaginary events, and then the consequences of this aren't necessarily real. Writers can address common taboos and test theories about how they might think the world would work against believable and relatable characters. From this, writers can express their true ideas, their true thoughts and feelings on a topic, and it allows us to see the world through a different lens, through a different perspective. Now, if you bear with me, I feel that a book I found a while ago perfectly represents my case, called Fahrenheit 451. Now, this book was written by Ray Bradbury. The reason he called it this was because this was the temperature that books burned. Now, in this dystopian novel, as you probably guessed, it was set in a Cold War era, where all houses were fireproof due to the mutually assured destruction of these nuclear missiles. And as a result, the fire service's purpose had been moved to burning books. But why books? Well, this was an era in which people were kept satisfied and oblivious from the dangerous world around them through the use of drugs and TV shows. But books were dangerous. These books, fiction books, had the potential to make people question their lives, to see things from another person's viewpoint, ultimately to form ideas from an external perspective. These books were so dangerous they could turn the population into one that thought completely differently from the harsh control that was being enforced on them at the time, which could have led to a rebellion for ideals for their justice and fairness. And now, whilst this is a fiction book, and I'm sure the proposition will be insisting that it's low, meaningless, made-up story, it really comes through that it portrays perfectly true ideas to us. We could draw questions from this book that you wouldn't be able to take from any non-fiction book in existence. Why is fiction so important to us? What would we do if all of our fiction were taken away? What makes fiction such a pivotal turning point in our lives? And then from this we can see answers. That fiction allows us to imagine, to take on different viewpoints, and to see different ideas and perspectives on the world instead of just our own. And now even from this one single book, we are interpreting these different abstract visions of the future, these different realities, and we are learning lessons from it. But now, as I close my speech, I would like to draw us all back to the wording of the motion. This House feels that teaching literature texts in schools is unnecessary. I think the fact that we need to teach this fiction in schools is really the utmost importance. Now, studies show that only 40% of young people read fiction for pleasure outside school. 40%. Now, a grammar school here of such high standards, we may all take this for granted. But in other areas of the country, it's a completely different scenario. By neglecting literature in school, you would only be limiting these extraordinary range of benefits for this minute 40% of people, when we have the potential to grant this whole population of children such amazing benefits. Surely, you would rather aspire for a future of well-educated children than one of just simple-minded sheep. Surely, you would prefer your next generation to be able to actively interpret and respond to others' points and review other opinions without just mindlessly following the onslaught of information that the proposition produces called fact. So, in summary, the opposition believes that fiction is an important part of human development in interpreting others' ideas and opinions. And this is expressed fully in the example of Ray Bradbury's Fahrenheit 451. The opposition also believes that the only way to secure a future generation with these crucial and necessary skills in life is to have it timetabled as part of the curriculum, as it will ensure that the larger population of children in schools will have these skills, rather than the scarce few who choose to read fiction for pleasure. Thank you, and I urge you to vote.
I'd like to invite Mr. Dominic Dodds to continue the case for the proposition.
You talk about non-fiction just being an endless map of facts, a complete chunk of pure information. I would like to highlight to you that our world is a wonderful place, and there are many experiences within this world, and non-fiction is merely documenting these experiences. There are many great stories. We do not have to look to make things up, to show, to engage people. Our world is a wonderful place. So you're constantly talking about the excellence of fiction, but I think you've gone off on one a little bit, because what we're talking about here is studying fiction in school. We don't feel that this is vital, helpful, or necessary. We as a proposition are not condemning reading. We are very happy people read for their pleasure, and there have been benefits.
What information?
Studying of books, we find it very unnecessary. So you mentioned that fiction can start rebellions. I think one of your points in Russia about your book. And that shows that fiction creates these violent ideals, these ideas that really just create violence.
Point information. These ideals that people love fiction don't necessarily have to create violence. They are developing us as a person, taking on different viewpoints from ideals.
That brings me on to my next point. They're not developing you, you're not taking on, you're just really copying the author's viewpoints. Fiction doesn't educate either. And people's opinions of school are dropping dramatically. And English is often seen, as much as it pains me to say, as one of the dull subjects when you're having to analyse chunks and chunks of fiction.
Point information.
Right. And these chunks of text, of fiction text, find it very hard for students like us to relate to. We're having immense issues working our way through these texts. So, what should school be about? In school, we feel we should learn things like time management, maths, history, all these subjects, and about the real world, the world we live in. Fiction really provides a distraction.
Point information. The skills we learn from fiction, analytical skills, taking on people's viewpoints, are really invaluable in life, and equivalent to the skills that you so suggest.
But we feel there are some skills, but these are exactly the same as non-fiction, if not diminished. Fictional skills are not as high as non-fiction. So reading fictional books does not come into children learning the sort of things. So I'd like to summarise our points. We feel there is very little gain from studying fiction in school. Much of it is outdated with very bad morals, sparking very bad things happening. Fictional reading is a sole skill that is very unrelated to other skills in our school. And non-fiction helps a great deal with essay writing and other vital English skills. It is merely a distraction from what's important in our lives. And non-fiction helps learn truth and reality about the world we live in. And the cinema has removed one of the key things that fiction stands for. There is very little there. Thank you, Niall.
was saying how it was okay for people to read fiction, but just not in schools. However, I don't see why people would actually start reading outside school if they have these options such as cinema, because I think that's an idealistic viewpoint. You think you find that children, instead of staying on their Xbox, going on their phone, would decide to pick up a book. And so that's why we need the schools to study fiction, because fiction is very important to science. It gives you ideas about love, hate, struggle, perseverance. These things are things that happen in real life. Just because the story isn't true doesn't mean that the ideals and the morals that the book shows are true. Books express good morals that we can learn about. They have themes and things that we can learn. For example, the tortoise and the hare. That didn't actually happen, and it teaches you not to be overconfident. The Emperor's New Clothes teaches us to speak up. This is transferable to DCGS books we study as well. To Kill a Mockingbird teaches us not to care about what other people think, as Atticus stands up to racism, and not to look at what other people, and we look at recently in effect schools, collective responsibility, looking after each other. All these things are valuable to real life. These books may not be true, they may not have happened, but what we learn is transferable to real life, and we should be using these things, all these things. they're helpful to us, and that's why we need to study fiction in school. But the reason we need to do it actually in school rather than our own time is for three main reasons. Firstly, people wouldn't read outside school because they have so many objectives.
They won't read outside school, they're forced to read.
It's not forcing them to read, it's encouraging them to read. Because the school know better, they're adults, they've had much more experience. They know that reading is helpful. So they're encouraging the younger generation to read because they know what benefits it will have. Us young people, we're more naive than adults. We don't know the benefits of reading. So we need other people to help us through it. And secondly, the reason we need to study them in school is that our teachers are more knowledgeable than us. They can help us understand things from books. In my old school, I was reading The Boy in the Striped Pyjamas, and I didn't understand what was going on until it was explained to me. I had no idea it was about Nazism. And I like to think about it like this. You go to an art gallery and you look at a painting, and it's just a painting, it doesn't mean much to you. But as soon as you read the plaque about what the artist was thinking, what this dot there means, what the person means, what the artist's inspiration was, you can understand it's a great work of art. Similarly, with fiction books, you may not understand what it is, but your English teachers could help you. And my third reason why we need to study these texts in school is because you can study as a group, as a class, as an English set. You get to talk about these wonderful books together and understand and debate whether the theme presented by the author is good or whether you agree with it or not. If you're studying it by yourself at home, where's the fun in that? You've got no one to talk to about it. Your older sister or your younger brother doesn't want to know about normal flies. But if you're as a class, you're all in the same boat, you're all studying it. You can all be enthralled at the same time. And now I'd like to get on to some other points. The sad truth of today is that many adults don't read because they weren't told to or encouraged to at a younger age. However, if we enthrall and excite the children at a younger age through fiction, then they'll get into the good habits of reading and will benefit by the key themes and ideas portrayed, and they'll be able to carry on reading in their older life. Except
benefit more from key things than they don't actually have.
It doesn't matter whether the thing happened. The point is that for example, in Inspector Calls, that you should look after each other. That's what the book's about. It's not. No one really cares about the inspector coming to see the people about the murder. It's the key things that matter, not necessarily the thing. And finally, I'd like to say that reading gives us imagination. So many jobs today revolve around creativity, imagination, ideas generating. And if we start reading non-fiction and just drilling facts decline, and we just facts drilled into our heads all the time, we'll have no imagination or creativity. But basically, every business plan relies on an idea to start with, creativity. And if you have no imagination from only reading things that are true, then we'll have no business plans. Imagination and creativity will help society advance with people coming up with new ideas. Because if we come up with no new ideas, we'll be stuck in the present, just where we are, and nothing will ever get better. I thank you, and I urge you to all vote for the opposition.
Back we have James, Nick and Mrs. Addy. They are going to briefly discuss and come to a verdict on who they think will win, but whilst they are doing that, please look forward and I will run through the debate as it happens. Usually when you debate you get quite detailed feedback from the judges, but the speakers are going to go for that individually so that you guys in the audience will only have to wait to find out which side won. Don Goodman started, he talked about the need to prepare us for work. He talked about the need of the school to relate to life, and the stories are nice, but ultimately they are hobbies. Tom Franks responded by saying that fiction offers a way for us to criticise the world in which we live in. It can address taboos, it can use imaginary characters to shape real ideas and real thoughts. And it also says that it gives us opportunities to question the society we are part of. Dunstan talked about the way that we can replace this with non-fiction, the way that non-fiction itself is perfectly viable, that our world is a wonderful place with real stories that carry real meaning and we can really relate to. He also talked about the idea it doesn't really develop us as a person necessarily and leaves us in a less grounded world than non-fiction. And finally, Matt Dagg closed the case by saying that fiction is a vital skill for life that we start by learning in schools, that discussing it helps you understand more, having teachers there and having each other there actually helps you understand text more, so that when you go away and you leave school, you're in a better position to learn. So the final thing I want to say before I pass back to the adjudicators is just that obviously this reflects the end of the debating competition that's gone on for a number of weeks, and that this debating competition will be continuing next year and will be running throughout the year in a league format, and then with a knockout competition at the end of the year. If you are in year 9 and above initially, you are eligible to sign up and to get yourself involved in these leagues. To do that, you need to speak to me either at the end of today or come to N2, and the debates will take a shortened version of this format where you'll get a winner or a loser, and you'll get 3 points and your leagues will continue. So if that's something you're interested in doing, please stay, have a word with me and I can get you signed up for next year. But am I ready to pass? Mrs. Ali, do we have a winner?
First of all, we'd like to say that there was an extremely high standard of debating across the last 2 weeks, and particularly guys really highlighted today. So once again, we'll say a very well done to our competitors with their confidence and eloquence today. So again, a round of applause.
Topic about whether or not we should read in schools. So we have given the debate the team that we felt most clearly kind of fleshed out for us what their vision, okay, for reading and whether or not it was important, and the one that we most believed in, one that we could really understand from examples, clear examples, and how the reading was a transferable skill to real life. Okay, so we've given it to the opposition, Matt and to Tom, for their extremely well fleshed out and clear vision for why reading is important in school. So congratulations to them.